Babe, can you come help me do laundry?
I'm on the phone with my mom, sorry.
Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I want to start out by giving a big shout out to the gun community, just because they've been my biggest supporters, most subscribers, and my most viewed videos. I really appreciate that, and I promise I have a lot more gun content coming. And a lot of my stuff is pretty unique, I would say, at least to YouTube. But with that out of the way, today we have my somewhat custom Glock 19. I say somewhat custom because I don't have it milled slide or anything like that. I never sent it off to get work. Here we have a tier 1 conceal holster. You can see that I went with the double belt loop and the claw. I think you could remove the claw if you don't want it, but it also has adjustment points, so you can set the retention to however you want it. Overall, I don't have any complaints. Honestly, I bought this thinking I was going to carry appendix, but I don't know if it's just my gut or the way I dress, but there's no way I'm carrying this thing. You can see the retention is really good, and I had it custom made to accept the Olight Pl-mini, which you can see here. But once again, the tier 1 conceal holster, can't say anything bad at all. I don't find it very comfortable, but I don't think it's a holster. I think it's just sticking this in my pants. It's not very comfortable. It's kind of hard to compare it to a 380 or a single stack 9, in my opinion. The fit and finish is really good. The retention is really good. There's a lot of options on their website for different flashlight choices, different cuts, different cutouts for your red dot. Now, in case you're wondering, if you try to holster the weapon without the flashlight attached, if you do go for a custom flashlight mode, it won't hold. So the retention is somewhere or something to do with the flashlight. I think the flashlight is the biggest part of the gun. I'll show that here. I also ordered this holster so that the suppressor sight heights fit with no problem. Keep that in mind if you're ordering them. So as you can see, the Pl-mini 1 goes on and off really easily on the Glock rail. I think it's a nice size and fit and finish overall. I know there's a lot of choices out there, but this one's not very expensive. I think I paid about $100 for it. It charges easily. I've never had any problems. I do fire with it on at the range sometimes, just to make sure that it functions properly, and so I get a feel for, worst case scenario, how I would really be using the gun. It features a momentary on-off if you hold the button, as well as it'll just stay on if you do one click. There's a lot of videos covering the Olight. I'm really happy with mine. Here is your safety check. A little late into the video, but I always know the condition of all my weapons. I will also include a short clip of the brightness of the Olight at the end of the video. There it is, just in case I don't shoot you through the screen. Another pretty neat modification that I did was the whiting out. of the Glock engraving. I did this using white nail polish, and I just blotted over all the engravings. And after about a minute or two of it drying, you go over it with acetone and remove as much of it as you could. I think you're not supposed to get the acetone on the plastic, I don't remember, but it doesn't do anything to the finish of the gun. It takes a few tries because sometimes you remove a little bit too much paint, but it is possible with patience and maybe about 15-20 minutes. I was able to do the barrel as well. That one's a little harder because the engraving isn't that deep, but it works. It's a nice little contrast to the gun, along with the rest of the contrast of the Olight and the Vortex. I went with Talon Grip's rubberized feel, and I ordered an extra strip so that way I could do the indexes and also cover up all the other little places where normally you would see the seam or no rubber. That also helped me cover up the seam that this beaver tail backstrap leaves. You can still see a little bit of the seam, but that's going to be inevitable unless you want grip tape all over your gun. I think I did a pretty decent job of not too much grip tape, but also covering the seam that the backstrap leaves, because it's pretty bad in my opinion. I'm using the large backstrap that comes with the Gen 6 MOS, and to me it fits really nicely in the glove of my hand. Speaking of gloves, I got my Mickey Mouse gloves on today. I put some here on the index point, and the holster started rubbing it away a little bit there, but worst case I take it off. And then down here under the trigger as well. I did do the custom undercut on the trigger guard, and I did that myself with a Dremel, and honestly a lot of luck. I tried it first on my Glock 27, which I ended off selling, and that was kind of my practice gun. There's a couple videos out there showing how to do it. I remember starting off with a pretty heavy grit and ending off with by hand at like a 600, 800 grit even, and then polishing it with some, I think I went with Meguiar's or plastics. Any plastic polish would work. Just be careful not to go too far and take your time so that way it comes out as even as possible. I'm happy with my result. Definitely gives you a little better purchase on the gun, but you already know that. Alright, switched up the lighting a little bit to make it easier to see. In case anyone's wondering what an undercut is, when you remove a little bit of the extra material here at the bottom of the trigger guard, where it meets the grip, and it kind of allows your finger to sit about 1 millimeter higher, depending how deep you go. I do have Dawson suppressor height sights, and I went with them mostly because they were one of the only companies at the time that offered fiber optic sights for both the rear and the front. I did install them myself. The back is pressure fit into the dovetail, and it does feature a set screw at the top that kind of has a point on it, so you put some thread locker and put it in and it'll hold it in place. I haven't had any problems yet. I've shot it quite a bit. And the front post is a pretty easy install. Not much to it. A little bit of Loctite on there. Make sure you don't put it anywhere it doesn't belong. You don't want to bind your slide up. Dawson does have videos and how-tos on how to put your sights on, and they do include the proper punches so that way you don't damage your gun. I did have a flared magwell on this one, but I ended off taking it off. Honestly, I thought it looked a little goofy, a little too tactical, and I mean, it's awesome if you need it and you like it, but just for me, I didn't really like it, and it kind of messed with my placement of my pinky at the bottom of the gun. And finally, we have the Vortex Venom Red Dot. I went with this one because you can change the battery from the top without messing with the zero. Yeah, I know the Trigicon might arguably be better, but the way ammo prices are right now, and honestly, this is more of a bedside gun, I don't necessarily feel like re-zeroing my gun in case I had to change the battery out. This sight does feature an on-off option or an automatic on when you pull it out of the holster. So far it's worked for me, and that's why I went with it, besides the fact that it's also significantly cheaper than the Trijicon. Once again, this is a Glock 19 Gen 6 MOS. Now the MOS means that it comes ready to accept red dots, and it does have a plate adapter because different red dots have different patterns for the bolts. So I used the one that was proper for mine, and if I do want to take it off, I could always take it off and put the plate back on, and it'll just look like a normal Glock 19. Another change on the Gen 6 is it has these front serrations. I guess you could press check it or rack it from there. I never really use it, but it's nice to have if you do. So there it is, a mostly DIY custom Glock 19. I hope somebody found this video helpful. I hope I showed the correct angles. And once again, thank you for the support. I'll have a lot more unique gun videos coming, I promise. Have a great day. Thank you.